All right, excuse me. We are live, everybody. Welcome to Reaching the Pinnacle podcast for this week. I apologize ahead of time if I have to cough and clear my throat. A lot of times my allergies are going crazy today for some reason. How are your allergies? Are you doing good? Okay.
I'm 100%.
100%. So at least one of us is operating pretty well. But welcome, everyone. We are live, like always, from the Pinnacle studio.
Live studio.
It's very alive in here today. Checking in with everyone. Well,
New picture
is, it's up. This is the most awesome picture ever. One of these days, maybe come in and Brandon will show you the picture.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Yeah, you might have to be part of an exclusive type club. So we are here, and we are going to answer a couple of questions, and I think Brandon has some announcements that he wants to do.
Yeah, I got a few announcements here.
Sure.
Anybody who's listening here locally being mainly in the Topeka area, which I assume that's probably most of our listeners. I don't know. But if you are, I wanted to let everybody know that we've got a promotion that we're running to kind of benefit the victims of Hurricane Harvey. So if you come into Pinnacle by the end of September, we've got some reduced enrollment promotions
nice.
And stuff like that. But half of that fee, when you're joining as a new member, half of that fee will go to, I can't remember. In fact, I have the paper here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're working with Beautiful Savior Church, the local church who has an organization in that area who's going to distribute those funds for us. So half your donation will go, or half your enrollment will go to that. And then you also have a free T-shirt as long as those supplies last for enrolling. So we're trying to get some people in to take advantage of that. A couple other things I wanted to announce, again, just for people listening here locally, is that we have a couple of new programs that we've been launching here at Pinnacle. And a lot of people aren't going to be aware of these because they're new. But one of the programs that we launched was called is Vitality 55.
Okay.
It's a class essentially designed for pretty much senior citizens who are just looking to increase their mobility and their flexibility and their strength. It runs a couple times a week. 10 o'clock, I think it's Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock. It's a 30, 45-minute class.
Okay.
We've been running it for maybe a month. Really good result already. We're having 4, 5, 6 seniors in there every time.
Perfect.
But if you know anybody who's looking for a class that's designed for that kind of an age group or population, might have them come down and check it out. We have basically all our classes. If you have a membership with us, you can do that class plus anything else in the facility, basically. Second program that has not launched yet, but we're getting ready to launch probably in October, is a program called Rocksteady. And this is mainly for people suffering from Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
And so it's kind of a boxing-based program initially, but we're going to be serving that population of people here locally. And so I think we're going to bring Adam on the program maybe here in a week or two, and he can explain. He kind of heads it up. He can explain exactly what it is and how to take advantage of the program, how to get involved in it.
Okay. And is he doing both of the new programs, or
no? Vitality 55 is ran mainly by Gilbert. He leads most of that. But anybody they can come in and do pretty much all our programs. If you have a membership, you can do them. Okay. So if a family's looking and say, hey, they want to, maybe the younger people want to work out or do a Zumba class or something like that, and your mom maybe 60 and older, if they want to do some of the other programs, or we got the massage therapy, we've got the personal training. So just trying to promote that, this is mainly a family-oriented, with all these different programs we're launching. Mm-hmm. We've been running for years anyway, a lot of them, but a lot of different things for a broader range of potential customers, basically.
Gotcha.
That's our plug for Pinnacle. I don't know if we've ever had one yet.
I don't think we have. This was our very first commercial.
2 years and our first commercial.
First commercial. And just for everybody, what are the other classes that are offered on top of that?
Well, I mean, if you go to our website, pinnaclefitness247.com, we have probably about 20 classes a week.
Oh, nice.
I mean, there's not 20 individual, but they're held multiple times, so we probably have 20 to 25 slots a week. Zumba, Insanity, Fitball, yoga, Buns and Guns, Mom and Me. There's a bunch. So
Sure.
if they go to the website, they can look at all of those. And then Obviously, if they stop in, we have just a schedule on the desk.
Okay.
Just grab one up there too.
Right on.
We're gonna hit a button here real quick here.
Oh yeah.
Give me
Hold
one
on
second.
1 second. All right, sorry about that, everybody. We
Technical
had to,
difficulties.
Yeah, we had to go mute for a minute. But
Said it was live audience.
well, anything can happen when you have a live audience. So this week it's question time. I think there's some questions out there, and maybe there's some things we wanted to talk about on top of questions. So,
all right. Well, you had the question.
Well, so
I haven't even answered it yet.
Right.
You gave it to me a couple days ago from one of your coworkers or friends. So go over it again for us.
Okay, so there's a fella that I work with, or that I work with at my work. Ironically, that's redundant, I guess. And but he's looking to do his very first contest. He wants to do I believe classic physique. And he's been. So what happened is he had kind of gone along for a show that was in, I think, July, and for one reason or another he wasn't able to do that show. So basically, he's been dieting since like last, I don't know, maybe April to now, and he's lost 30 pounds. I mean, he looks like he's a fitness. I guess that was my phone. He looks like a fitness person. But he's starting, he's getting there, getting closer and closer. I think progress is starting to slow down more and more, and I think he's getting frustrated because the progress seems like it's slowing down, but he's also getting very burnt out. So it's kind of like double negative happening. And he wanted me to ask. Well, he asked me if we could talk about, how do you work past, mental barriers, physical barriers? How do you stay motivated? Things like that.
Okay. And when's the next? November, you said?
I think October or November
is like the next.
Is the one he's shooting for next? Yeah.
One he's going for. Well, and I know I told you this before. Like my answer to every question, it always depends. I want to try to get a little bit into his specific question, but obviously it's going to be kind of generalized because I don't know a lot of different factors.
Sure.
But to kind of answer the first two things, how do you deal with mental and kind of physical fatigue when you're on a diet essentially for months,
8 months or something?
Well, so really it depends on how severe the diet has been during that course of time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people come to me and they say, I've been on a diet for 8 months or a year or whatever. And if they've been in a real calorie deficit, a sufficient calorie deficit where they really are being pretty hard on their body,
mm-hmm.
And they're getting pretty lean maybe, that might just be too long.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost start to slow down the metabolism because you're just over dieting essentially.
Sure.
And in his case, I don't know how hard he's dieting. I don't know. I haven't even seen his diet. I haven't even seen this person, so I haven't seen any pictures. It's really hard for me to say without seeing him and asking him a handful of questions to even really get into it too much. But really, when you diet, it has to be very subtle, small changes over a certain length of time, depending on how far away you are from being ready for a contest. So basically, how lean you are when you start.
Sure.
So if somebody, let's say he's 180 pounds now, you said, or so.
Yeah, I think he's about 174, 75, and he started at about 205.
Okay, so like you say, he's down about 30 pounds
mm-hmm.
over the course of 30, 35 weeks. So he's dieting pretty slow. I mean, I would say that's in his favor.
Sure.
He may be able to pull it off now if he can mentally kind of just regroup and say, hey, I need to finish this.
Yeah.
And usually there's really nobody who can give people motivation for that. I mean, a pep talk only lasts for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You just have to, it has to come from within if you're going to push yourself to that point, to that level, I guess. It just has to. You have to be a self-motivated individual to do all the dieting and to kind of finish it out.
Well, and the way you break it down is for me is motivating. The way you break it down, you say, because we even discussed, a pound or two a week. When you're, somebody like me could probably go for the first month or two going 5 pounds a week, but a pound or 2 a week's generally the goal for most people, and he's just like you say, he's low and slow, so it sounds like he's been doing the right thing.
He's probably in the ballpark. I mean, if you're starting at 200, I like to take, and these percentages and stuff are just, I just kind of throw them out there. There's general guidelines, but I would say probably around 0.5% to 1% of your body weight a week. So obviously, if you're 200 pounds starting versus 300, that number is going to be different.
Yeah.
Guy 200 pounds, though, I'd say about 0.5 pound a week on average would probably be a good number to shoot for to almost guarantee very, very, very little muscle loss, which is really, this is what happens to all these competitors, is they over diet or they diet too quick, and they start burning muscle tissue off, and then their metabolism starts slowing down.
Right, and they start storing body fat. And
then they get to a certain point, a certain body fat percentage or whatever, and they almost just basically get stuck. Mm-hmm. And they really can't get any leaner. They can keep losing weight, but they start burning off muscle. They're working harder and harder, but it's almost backfiring on them.
Right.
And that's again the case of the reason why they have to go slow.
Right.
And I always like the analogy of landing the airplane. Right. I mean, an airplane has to start a descent, 400 or 500 miles away from an airport. And if it doesn't, if it starts at 100 miles away or 20 miles away, it's going to crash.
Right.
It's the same thing with the diet. You have to start really slow and very far out, unless you're already very lean. I mean, if you're at 8% body fat, and you're going to compete around 5% body fat, then you can obviously start maybe 8 or 9 weeks away,
right,
and be ready to go and be in perfect shape. But if you're at 15% body fat or higher,
yeah,
you're going to have to start 3 months or 4 months, sure, or a year out.
I think he's probably sitting around 10 now. So
he's got another however many pounds to go.
Probably
5 or 6. Or
something like that. I was going to say
whatever,
5-10 maybe.
So
but that's good advice for everybody though. In terms of beginners or pros or contests or novice people.
That's what most of the competitors that I've been around. That's the mistake they make. And I made that mistake a lot of times, many times over the years. So really, the secret to dieting and getting in the best shape you can is just not getting out of shape, for one.
Right.
But for two, when you get in there initially, you have to really take your time and be very methodical in your approach, right, as far as how to track your nutrients and your energy output and all these kind of things.
So let me ask you this. Do you think... Because I see people that get hardcore. I mean, they've got a training log, they've got a diet log, and they keep a diary. Or do you just say, eat the same thing, measure initially your menu, know what it is, eat it every day, and then when you change it, remeasure it? Are you one of those people that just start it, let it go, start it, let it go, or do you recommend keeping all those records?
Well, again, that's kind of a complicated question. I like to take, basically, if what you're eating in the off-season should be, and this is another tip for everybody out there that's competing, should be basically the same foods that you're eating pre-contest, just more of them.
Yeah.
If you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of how to
higher
do this
amounts, calories and things.
And so when that's the case, your menu